Hey guys, I'm going to be reviewing Stargirl 303, titled Frenemies Chapter 3, The Blackmail. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the bell to subscribe for new, notifications on, let's get right into the review for Stargirl 303. So, I think this is easily the best episode of the season so far. We've only had 3. But I think this episode triumphed the premiere and definitely did better than 302. 301, 302 were amazing, don't get me wrong. But I think 303 just brought something to this season that we didn't get in the past episodes, which is a massive fight scene. We actually got more about the main villain of this season, the murderer. Like, we saw him. Like, we heard him. And it's a person, and it's a him. We know it's him, because there's no way a she can make that noise. Now, I'm just gonna go right into the ending, because so Sylvester went through a lot this episode. We learned that the Crocks were blackmailed by the gambler. Court did not want Sylvester to know. Cindy went behind their backs, which they found out by the blackmail because of Cindy. She used the laptop, sent it to Beth for them to track down, which they don't know she has a laptop yet, which is stupid, but they don't know yet. So what they are doing is, it really seems bad to Cindy, but I think in this episode, we should be able to rule out Sylvester as a suspect, because the killer went after him. Now, he showed up to the trailer at the episode. After finding the Crocks earlier, finding out from Cindy about the Crocks, they didn't do it. So we had the Shade, Grundy, the Crocks, and Sylvester now all scratched off as a suspect. So this is someone new. I really do believe that. This is not someone we've seen before, and we know it's not Sylvester because he literally got attacked and I don't think he's dead, but he definitely is banged up. I mean, he was flown into the air, God knows how far up, and he just dropped. Now, he didn't have the staff. He left it behind because he wanted to respect the wish that he made the court that he wouldn't use the staff at night when Courtney's not at school. He wouldn't use it. Now, there's a really heartfelt scene between Pat and Sylvester about Court and her father not being there, and Court thinking that Sylvester was Courtney's father, because the staff worked for her and all that. So, it not working out for them, Pat, I think, tried to manage to convince Sylvester to realize what he's doing isn't right and isn't fair to Court, because it could affect how she takes this whole thing. So, I'm glad they brought that up, because it would have been a massive... I'm surprised they didn't bring it up last week, but I am glad that Pat was the one to bring up Sylvester. He did get pissed off that Pat managed to stop him from attacking the Crocks and defend the Crocks, and not Sylvester himself, which I think is understandable, but the thing is that Pat isn't a sidekick. Sylvester can say that, but Pat is much more than that. He's a partner. And especially the Court. So it just makes the most sense for Sylvester or Courtney to, rely on Sylvester and to look to him for advice. But when Sylvester is going nuts so crazy over here, it's kind of impossible to do. But nonetheless, we were dealing with Cameron, and Court. Rick and Cameron have beef with each other. Then Cameron blew out one of Rick's tires in the car, which he noticed, thankfully, because that could have killed him if he didn't know. But he managed to fix it, but he was late. Mike overheard Cindy and Sylvester talking when he saw Sylvester knew about the Crocks, and then called Court when she was with Yolanda, Rick, Beth. I think Beth was there. and Pat, which is why Pat went to the convenience store, which made, by the way, amazing fight scene. The choreography was amazing in that scene. I think it was easily one of the best fight scenes this show's ever had, if not the best. The length was amazing. Something I always worry about the show with the fight scenes is that it's not always long enough sometimes. This is definitely long enough. I think it was a little bit too long, but it worked really damn well. We saw, some people were mentioning that staff was smoking. I think it was smoking purely because of what Sylvester was doing with it. He was like overusing that thing more than it's ever been used before, probably. I mean, he's fighting two of the most dangerous people that they probably ever fought in the JSA. And he's by himself. I mean, Courtney needed all of the other members, Rick, Beth, and Yolanda, to help fight these guys, and Pat, and they barely couldn't even do it. So, for Sylvester to fight them two on his own, granted, they were holding back because they weren't trying to kill him, which, you know, they were also trying to beat him up because Paula held Sylvester in a chokehold while Larry almost beat him up with a bat until the staff saved him. But we saw a lot of very cool things with the staff that we're never going to see from Courtney. Like, whether you want to believe it or not, we are never going to see what Sylvester does with the staff with Courtney. That will take years down the line. And this show, as much as I hate to say it, probably won't make it past season 3. I would love it to get season 4 and continue. I really do not think it will. I think the possibilities of that are lower than it's ever been before, just because the ratings are so low, because the CW doesn't know how to do crap. So the chances of the show getting season 4 is really low. I hate that, but it's the truth. And, you know, we're going to be stuck with, at the end of the month, we'll find out, which it ends like, 2 weeks? So within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks, we'll be finding out if Stargirl's getting a 4th season. But even then, like, we won't see the staff doing with what it does with Sylvester compared to Court. Court's not that advanced with the staff. Can she use it well? Yeah. I mean, Sylvester was blown away by what she could do with it. But the moves that Sylvester had with the staff, what I think was the best moves the staff's ever done in the show, but that's because of Sylvester. That is nowhere near because of Court. So, you know, it's something we all got to remind ourselves here is that Courtney is not as experienced as Sylvester. He's been in the field longer. He's been a part of this world longer than Court. He's seen things that he can't get over, clearly. I mean, he hates that all of them, all the ISA members, or the former, or whatever. He hates them all. I mean, you know, Courtney is looking for the good side, which isn't entirely the right thing to do in this situation, but it's the only thing they can really do on some levels. Going back to the killer, he had security footage in the diner, which was first revealed in this episode. I don't think it's shade. And I didn't really think it was shade till now. Because he had the black gloves on. You could see that. He put his arm down the chair with the cameras, and it was a black glove. You didn't see a top hat, but you could see his coat. It was like a big coat. And Shade was wearing that when he left. That could be a massive throw-off. But the thing is to remember is that this person, sounds like an animal. It is not Grundy. That person is not Grundy. Unless Grundy is like the Hulk and can turn into a human form, there ain't no way. And also, this thing flew. It flew, people. Like, it picked up Sylvester and it flew up in the air and it dropped him to the ground. No. Whatever the hell this person is, it has the ability to not only fly, but has super strength and sounds like a lion. It roared like a lion. We heard that 4 times in the final 2 scenes. I brought up Shapeshifter because in one of my reviews and promo breakdowns, because there's no other explanation for it. What other possibility is there that this thing can sound like an animal, that breathes like an animal, looks like a human, can fly, and has super strength? I think the most likely possibility here is we are dealing with a shapeshifter. I don't know how they'll explain it, but I do believe this is 100% a shapeshifter. How we explain the breathing? Because whenever he breathes, when you heard him breathe in and breathe out, it sounded like a roar, like he was having breathing problems, like with his heart or lungs. You hear that with like people who smoke too much. Their lungs get damaged, and you can like their breathing is like all screwed up. And it sounds like a deep like, not exactly like that, but you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like an animal. So, in this person, I don't think they can talk. I think it is specifically a roar, that's all they can do. Which means they have vocal damage, which they can use to find out who the hell it is. Now, Sylvester didn't see him. I'd be surprised if he did, because it seemed like the killer swooped in, grabbed him by the shoulders, and then flew him back up, and then dropped him. And by the time he hit the ground, he's resumed dead. I don't think he is dead. But I mean, anyone who falls from a certain height is undoubtedly going to die, and he was bleeding in the head. From the nose, I think it was, and down. So, I mean, he's lucky he didn't die if he didn't. But, I mean, there's something clearly going on. If he didn't kill Sylvester, the killer didn't kill Sylvester, then this was specifically targeted towards a gambler. Which is weird, because you target gambler and then Sylvester. But the thing is that Sylvester wasn't killed from what it looks like. He could have. I don't think that's a possibility, though. But if he is killed off, this would be the time to do it, and that would be something to look at. Again, I don't know. But if this is him dying, if they're killing him off here, why is the killer going after Sylvester and Gambler? Those are two random MOs that don't fit anything. Sylvester was pissed off at the Gambler. He was about to go after him at one point, like it did Shade and the Crocks. I mean, if he had an opportunity to, he would have attacked the Gambler. And speaking of, we learned that the Gambler blackmailed the Crocks. He stopped that like a few hours before he died and gave them their money back. So that was very heartfelt. Which Courtney kind of went through a roller coaster of emotions learning that. Because she thought Gambler was actually changing, and then he wasn't apparently, and now he is. So he did change. He was a good person at the end. And actually trying to find his daughter. Which I will bring up his daughter again in a minute. But this killer is a person. It's just, what the hell kind of person is it? Is it a shapeshifter? Is it a metahuman? Is it an alien? I don't know. It has to be a shapeshifter, because there's no way. I mean, you would think this thing has the powers of Superman from what it looks like. I mean, God. Like, it flies. It sounds like a roar, like an animal. It destroyed a trailer. That takes a lot of force to do. And the fact that this person is watching all of them, the Crocks, I'm assuming Cindy, we didn't really see that, Courtney's house, he saw Pat and Sylvester on the porch. He's watching the diner. Could this be Shade being affected by that green crap that we see in him? Yeah. But we know Shade clearly has control still. He's not being completely taken over. And the more and more I think about it, I do think Shade is more or less a suspect now than before. Meaning I do think he is more likely to kill Gambler and attack Sylvester. But I don't think Shade is that sloppy. He's not that sloppy to just destroy an entire trailer and leave the body in the center of the entire place. He's not that stupid. He said that himself. I think what the trench coat was and the black gloves that we literally saw Shade in last week is a massive throw off. Like most of the things in the season has been, which is kind of getting irritating now, whatever. You know what I mean? It's kind of getting irritating with the throw offs, but I do think that Shade is back on the suspect list. Even though I said earlier it wasn't, but I didn't even connect that could have been Shade. Because we saw him in a trench coat, in black gloves, at the end of last week. It's not Sylvester. Unless he attacked himself and he has a duplicate. I mean, that's stupid, but that's not possible. He doesn't. It was the same Sylvester that left the house and went to the trailer. And also, where's the killer coming from? Because he was in his lair watching the cameras, and I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, give or take, maybe 5, he took Sylvester, flew him up, and dropped him. So, it has to make everyone question here. Obviously, this thing can fly, so that explains it, but how he got there so fast. But the thing is that where's his base at? Is it under Blue Valley? You would think it is if it's like what the colors in that place are. There's no way in hell his base with all the security footage up there is just up there. Now, how could he have gotten security footage up there without anyone knowing, like around Courtney's house or, any of that? I think it's simply the matter of the fact that he can fly. And if it is a shapeshifter, could have shapeshifted into something small, flew in, put a camera up, and flew away. No one knows a thing. Around all those places. Now, there's a camera inside the diner. So, how the hell that even happened? Because it was literally in the diner. Which means he had to go in there to put the camera up. You would think there's cameras in that place alone. Unless he's hacking into them, which then we're doing with the hacker. And someone who's smart enough to hack into security footage, which is just not going to help the team at all. Because then we're dealing with a bigger threat. It doesn't sound like a big of a threat, but it is, if that's the case. I don't know. I have like 10 different theories on my head right now. But I don't think it's Cindy. I really do believe Cindy is trying to change and be good for once. I don't think it's Cindy. I'm 50-50 on Shade now. I wasn't beginning this review, and I know someone will comment that in like 5 minutes, but I don't think it's... I'm 50-50 on Shade. I don't want to think it's Shade, but it could be with what's going on with him. I don't know. It's not Grundy 100%. It is not Grundy. That thing is not Grundy. That is a person. It's not the Crocks. They have an alibi. I mean, come on. Paula does, at least. I mean, she was with... Rebecca? I'm forgetting Court's mom's name. Rebecca, isn't it? I'm blanking. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, it obviously wouldn't be Yolanda, Rick, Beth, Sylvester. I mean, he was attacked. I think the most likely option is either Shade or someone we've never seen before. I think it's down to those two. And if it's not Shade and it's not Mr. Bones, because Mr. Bones isn't that stupid, I don't think it's Mr. Bones either, because we saw him at the end of season 2. He didn't make that kind of noise. He was talking like a human. This thing is not talking like a human. It looks like a human, but it ain't talking like one. So, whatever the hell this thing is, I'm shifting towards shapeshifter, pun intended, and I think that this is 100% a shapeshifter. I don't see what the hell else it could be. I mean, Eclipso technically was a shapeshifter, wasn't he? I mean, he could shapeshift into his human form if you want to. But, yeah, not really a shapeshifter, but on some level he was. So I mean, so can Shade, technically. I mean, he can shapeshift into his own fogginess and whatever and do whatever he wants, right? You could destroy a trailer, right? I think he's the only thing that could do that. And he can fly. I mean, we saw him do that, literally. I mean, I think Shade is most likely a suspect now more than ever, especially after that. especially what we saw with his hand, with the black glove, the black coat on, and, but we didn't see his face. I don't think we saw it. I don't even think you could see his face in the reflection of the light on the screens in front of him. But, yeah, it's something. Now, I want to bring up the laptop very quickly that Cindy was trying to get into. She's trying to figure out a password. Now, I'm not a genius, but, did she try Gambler's daughter's name? I mean, seriously, I think that's the password. It's gotta be, kinda. I mean, the Gambler's daughter's password is his laptop. He cares about his daughter, clearly. So, I think it would be nice to know that, at least. But, yeah. Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.